sir. So good morning, sir. We are live today.
Good morning, Yogita.
People are joining in, sir. Please wait.
Yogita, I can't hear you. Now it's okay. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Now I can.
Thank you, sir. We will first start with the questions that are already asked to us. This anonymous person is asking, sir, how to control impulsive behavior?
Okay. Fine. Good morning, boys and girls. The question is how to control impulsive behavior. It is not a very simple thing to do, but it is definitely achievable. I will give you an example to illustrate this, and from that, maybe you can understand the thing better. If you remember, once upon a time, there was a World Cup final between France and Italy, which France lost. And in that match, some abusive words were used by Materazzi of Italy against Zidane. He was the best player of the World Cup at that time. And Zidane head-butted Materazzi, and as a result, he was shown the red card and he was thrown out of the match. And France lost the World Cup. Now, this is an example of impulsive behavior. It was actually stupid behavior that he gave in to his animal instincts rather than trusting his brain to think and come up with a sensible solution at that point of time. And this is the essence of proactive behavior also. And that is whenever you confront a situation or there is a stimulus, you respond. Now, one is the reflex response, and that is a reactive response. And that is how Zidane had reacted. So this was not a sensible thing to do. Had he thought and taken a little pause as to what he should do, he would have realized that the agenda of Materazzi was to win the World Cup for Italy, and he had realized that Zidane could be provoked into this reactive behavior, which he did. So actually, the behavior of Zidane was controlled by Materazzi and the Italian team. They probably would have had a strategy to do this. So, and Zidane fell into that trap. So had he thought and then reacted, he would have not done anything like this to get a red card. And he could have complained and won the World Cup for France. And this was a very minor issue which could have been sorted out later. So similarly, what you and I can do in our practical lives is that whenever we are provoked, we should not immediately give in to our impulses and act. We should think, take a pause, weigh the pros and cons, and thereafter take action. Once we keep doing this, when we keep practicing this kind of behavior in a consistent manner, you will find that you will be able to control your emotional responses to a large extent, and you would become a more competent person. The more rationally controlled you are, the better your conduct is going to be and the better your life would be. So it's an important thing to do. And this is what we should do. I hope Zidane's example has explained the thing well enough to you people. I hope it has been well understood, Yogita. Okay, thank you very much.
With an example. Okay, sir. Aniket,
Louder, please, louder. Yogita, I can't hear you.
Yes, sir. Aniket is asking, sir, I have tendencies to forget some questions asked in the interview. Maybe he is talking about the series. Will it make a bad impact? This is repeatedly one of the repeatedly asked questions, series questions.
Fine. Aniket, thanks for asking this question. I keep answering this repeatedly. Anyway, I will answer it again for your benefit and benefit of others who don't go and seek information which is there in the past. See, the thing is, when you focus your energies on trying to remember questions, you would be utilizing not more than 90% of your brain to assimilate the information which is coming. Because at least 10% of your brain would be getting utilized in rehearsing the information that you have already registered. Fine. So first thing what will happen is that your ability to assimilate information will get degraded, which is bad. Fine. You may not understand some of the things properly which are asked. So that would definitely hamper your performance. Now coming on to this thing of remembering the questions. A very competent person whose ability to assimilate information is very good, and he is not tense also, he would be able to remember practically all the questions that have been asked and would be able to reply to them also in the same sequence. Now, it is doable, but it is not mandatory. It is not a big deal. If memorizing the questions and knowing them exactly in the same order was such a big thing, then in the interviewing stage, what we could have done, that the interviewing officer could have spoken 10 digits and then asked the candidate in front of him to reply to check as to how many out of the 10 digits he is remembering. And in that manner, interviewing officer could have assessed the candidate exactly in a in a very quantifiable terms. Okay, this person's memory is 8 out of 10, no 6 out of 10, like that. So that thing is not there. So what my suggestion is, you people should be in a relaxed state of attentiveness. It is something like akin to the state you have when you are watching a movie. I'm sure when you watch the movie Three Idiots, you are not trying to remember the names of the characters. I saw it, I don't know how many years back. I still remember that Rancho was the protagonist and Chatur was the guy who wanted to memorize things and score good marks by that those means. So I did not put in any efforts to remember these names, but I remember them, and I presume same would be the case with most of them. So that is the right way to listen to the interviewing officer. Don't be in a hurry. Be calm. Don't let your breathing go fast, because then you're nervous. Remain calm, long breath. Understand well. Don't try to rehearse the question series, and start answering in whatever sequence you can do. And if you feel that you have forgotten some of the questions, ask the interviewing officer that I think, sir, I have forgotten some questions. Could you please repeat? Fine. That should be the outlook. Don't get pressurized in case you have forgotten some questions. At times it may happen that the interviewing officer asks you probing questions in between. And by that process, it can happen that your chain of thought gets broken and you forget some of the questions which are asked, or even without that, you can't forget. It is not a big deal. Efforts to try and rehearse the questions will have greater, negative impact on your performance than, uh, you know, you're forgetting some of the questions. Fine. Other point comes is, please do not bother about the impact, the impression you are going to create. When you start bothering about these things, I can assure you, you will get rejected. And if you feel that what I'm saying is not correct, you can go and listen to the interviews of some of our successful candidates. One name straight away comes to my mind at the moment is of Digant. You can go and listen to his interview, Digant Garg. He was taking too much of pressure to get recommended, was concerned about the impression he is creating on the assessors. And as a result, he was getting rejected. So please don't do that. Yeah, I think I have answered your question. Thank you very much. Let's move to the next question, please.
Apurva Gussain is asking, sir, in the interview officer did not counter question anything. So how do we know where I went wrong in the interview?
Okay. Who's asked this question?
Apurva Gussain.
Okay. Apur Gosai, once again, you are getting concerned about your impression. Please don't do that. Please don't try to assess what the assessor is assessing. Because once you are doing that, you are definitely entering the zone which will get you rejected mentally. You just take it that a conversation is taking place. Whatever is asked, you answer. That's all. Fine. So whether he questions, counter question, don't get bothered. He has a job to do, and that is to assess you. And your job is to be honest and transparent and answer whatever he has asked. Honestly, precisely, in an open manner. That is should be your outlook. Don't get bothered about all these things. Fine. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Ayush Kumar is asking, sir, is being assertive during discussions, that is group discussions, acceptable?
This question is okay, but for his benefit as well as the benefit of other students, I can say, I mean, it sounds not it will not be very pleasant for this boy to hear that probably he does not know the meaning of assertiveness. See, the meaning of assertiveness is that you are fair to others and you demand fairness to yourself. In popular parlance, we get used to the word assertive as to what China was trying to do with us in Ladakh and what Russia is trying to do with Ukraine at the moment. That is not being assertive. That is being unfair. Fine. These are acts of aggression. So these kind of things you should not do. Forget these countries' relations. Let us come to your relations with others. So, by cutting off others, by not allowing others to speak, like some of the people coming from coaching academies do that in the GTO series. And they start all this from the PPDT onwards. This is impolite behavior, which is not good. And I do not advise anybody to do that. So being assertive is a good thing, not in SSB, but in life. And that is, as I said, you be fair to others. if two of you have started speaking simultaneously, as a polite person, allow the other person to speak. There is just no problem. That's the right thing to do. Now, in the next situation, when you are speaking and this person tries to cut you off and he starts, speaking above you, that is the time you should be firm and in a slightly raised voice, tell this person that I have not finished, I am still speaking. That should be your outlook. This is the essence of being assertive and not the understanding of assertiveness you had, as I gathered from your question. Thank you very much.
Vishal Prasad is asking, sir, if we perform our maximum best in one or two tasks and then the performance goes down, will it have an impact?
How will it not have an impact? If firstly, a person would invariably be consistent. You cannot be, that your mental faculties are of this level at one point of time at 80 and suddenly they have come down to 50. It doesn't happen. But anyway, you raise such questions, so you ask such questions. So anyway, so theoretically speaking, let's say it is happening that a person is at 90% and then he comes to 40%. So it is very obvious that this person is consistent. Like say, I asked him something about in physics. I started asking him about laws of motion, and his knowledge was very good. And he was explaining to me these things well. And then I started asking him questions about the subject of heat, the transfer of heat and all that. And he was just not knowing anything about conduction, convection, radiation and all that. So, theoretically, if that is happening, then naturally I will have doubts that his academic understanding is of a doubtful level. So I will ask him more questions to clarify my mind. That kind of thing will happen. So the simple straight answer to your question is that if your demonstrated performance in front of the interviewing officer or any assessor is at sometimes at 90%, sometimes at 40%, it will definitely have an impact, and it should have an impact because we are there to do a job. And if we find that a person can give very good answers and can also give stupid answers, we have to take cognizance of that, because we have to select people to command troops in battle. So the effect of stupid answers has to be taken, cognizance of, because it is very important. Yes, next question, please.
Amarjit Singh is asking, sir, how to remove nervousness in the waiting room? I guess he's asking about the conference part wherein we have to wait outside or something.
Okay. For his answer to his question, and also questions to the nature of development of proactive behavior, building up of confidence, and things like that, they are related. Even about motivation, building up willpower, I would recommend that you kindly read our blogs on these subjects. Fine. A very good coverage is there on this YouTube channel only. A girl by the name of Shalika Rana, he was one of our students. She has conducted a very nice lecture on this subject, and questions were raised to her. She has answered them very well. It will give you very good ideas as to how this can be done. Fine. It would be better that you read up these things, understand them, and thereafter, use the methods which have been explained, and they are going to work for you. Fine. To answer in short, what I can say is that, firstly, getting a little bit nervous is not something abnormal. It is very much normal. When Rohit Sharma goes to bat, he is one of the best batsmen in the world in the short formats of the game. Still, his footwork is not working well in the first 2, 3 overs till such time as he is connected well with the ball. So when it is happening with him, it is nothing abnormal that it will happen with others too. So you are very normal because you are concerned about your performance. As a result, this is happening. Now, there can be various tools to tackle this problem. Physical things you can do, you can take long breaths and all that, because shortness of breath is the first indicator of getting nervous. So the reverse physiological thing, if you do deliberately, that will have a calming effect on you. So you can do that. But visualize that beforehand, that you would be sitting in this kind of a situation, and you visualize yourself being calm and tackling the questions in a calm manner, answering in a calm manner. These are few things which you can do. Balance, you read up our blog, it will give you greater clarity. I mean, the answers are there. The things, they're far more deliberate than what I'm answering, in a short manner at the moment. And start focusing on the content rather than your pronunciation, the image you will be creating, impact you would be creating on the listener, and things like that. Focus on what you're trying to, the contents of what you're saying. Then your mind will go away from such issues, and probably you will become calmer, and your performance would also be better. Okay, yeah, next question, please.
Jyotika Thakur is having her first SSB, and Himanshu Singh is having his last SSB, and both are asking for last minute tips.
Last minute tips, okay, these are relevant, good, it will be on record. First thing is, I remember a friend I had from Namibia. I befriended him, and he used to run marathons. And I said, marathon running must be very tough. He said, no, marathon running is actually not at all tough. Preparing to run a marathon is tough. So the analogy applies here also. The preparation for SSB is the tougher part, and that is by leading an effective life. So that is what you should have done beforehand. Now, once you land up at SSB, the work part is practically over. Now you just have to be yourself and go and enjoy the process absolutely like a fresher, whether it is your first attempt or it is your 25th attempt. Go with a clean mind. Now coming on to the screening process, stage 1 of testing, kindly listen to our video on this subject. Understand it well, know it very deliberately, and adopt the methodology that has been explained. That's the first thing. Thereafter, once you confront the psychology test, just be honest. Just visualize yourself in the situations and respond sensibly. Do not try to impress anyone. Don't be thinking about what impact you would be having. Just answer rationally in a correct manner. That should be your outlook. And also concentrate well, understand the things well, understand the pictures well, understand the situations well. Don't start answering, before understanding. I remember a situation which is it is just coming to my mind, which is answered inappropriately by a large number of students because their in a hurry to start answering. It says that your father had died in war and your mother was kidnapped by the rival group and you were rather young. What you would do? I find at least 30% of my students, they ignore the very important issue of their mother having been kidnapped, and they start trying to write about how they managed their lives, went to orphanage or some friend, neighbor, and things like that. Whereas the most important thing in this situation was to take the help of the police or the unit of fathers, colleagues, and all that to rescue the mother. Because that's the most important thing. But because the people are in a hurry, they do this thing. So anyway, so keep your wits about you. Don't start responding very quickly to pictures and situations. This should be, don't leave any words and all. Write simple sentences. Short sentences are good. Thereafter, in GTO series, do not try to impress anyone. Do not try to control the balli in fatta. Be an effective member of the team. That is the essence of good performance in the group task. Coming to the interview, I already answered. Listen carefully to the questions asked in a relaxed manner, understand them well, and answer deliberately and honestly, once again, without having any concern for the impression you would be creating. You do these things, and if you are competent enough, you will get recommended. And if you are not competent enough, then you will not get recommended. But trying to manipulate your behavior by getting some tips of artificial projection and all that are not going to be of any positive use. They can definitely have some amount of negative impact. So don't do all these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. And this last minute thing which people frequently ask will also help others. We will join next time. Please write to us at nofrillsacademy@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you very much, boys and girls. Take care. God bless. Good luck. Bye-bye.